Hi, it's Dr. Janie Pendleton, and we are back with Maranatha Minutes. Uh, I'm just trying to get settled in today. I want to do our daily devotion. Here we are right here, it's on it. And I'm just going to do this really quickly. Now, we have a lot of farming traffic coming up and down here today. You're probably hearing the semis in the background, and we're surrounded by cornfields. We are probably at about 75 to 76 degrees today. We're having Indian summer. It is absolutely beautiful out. Most of the leaves have left the trees for the most part, so it's not as pretty as it was last week. We had that hurricane that went down through Mexico that came up here, Patricia. So when the tail end of that Hurricane Patricia hit us up here, right when we were at our peak, it knocked all the beautiful red leaves off our trees. So it was a bit of a disappointment, but we've had beautiful weather, so I'm definitely not going to complain. So if you're going to get out this week, this is the next 3 days are the days to do it. Walk peacefully with me through this day. You are wondering how you will cope with all that is expected from you? You must traverse this day like any other, one step at a time. Instead of mentally rehearsing how you will do this or that, keep your mind on my presence and on taking each new step. The more demanding your day, the more help you can expect from me. This is a training opportunity since I designed you for deep dependence on your Shepherd King. Challenging times wake you up and amplify your awareness of needing my help. When you don't know what to do, wait while I open the way before you, while I open that door. Trust that I know what I am doing, and be ready to follow my lead. I will give strength to you, and I will bless you with peace. The Lord replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Exodus 33:14. Or, the bolts of your gates will be iron and bronze, and your strength will equal your days. Deuteronomy 33:25. And may the God of peace, who through the blood of the eternal covenant, through Christ, brought back from the dead our Lord Jesus, that great shepherd of the sheep, equip you with everything good for doing his will, and may he work in us what is pleasing to him. Through Jesus Christ, to whom be the glory forever and ever. Amen. Hebrews 13:20-21. And lastly, the Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. Psalm 29:11. All right, that's today's devotional out of Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. And then, of course, I have to do our daily story. So this is called The Fourth Man. And I'm sorry, like I said, I've got this lattice coming down this way, and it's got a grid work on my book here. So I'm trying to get it in. There you go. I'm trying to get it in the shadows where I can see it. This is called The Fourth Man. It had been reckless of me, taking a before dawn stroll through the tangle of streets behind Los Angeles bus terminal. Ooh, that would be dangerous. But I was a young woman arriving in the great city for the first time. My job interview was 5 hours away, and I couldn't wait to explore. Now I'd lost my way in the Skid Row neighborhood. Hearing a car pass, I turned, and in the flash of light saw 3 men lurking behind me, trying to keep out of sight in the shadows. Trembling with fright, I did what I always do when I need help. I bowed my head and asked God to rescue me. But when I looked up, a 4th man was striding towards me in the dark. Dear God, I'm surrounded. I was so scared. It took me a few seconds to realize that even in the blackness, I could see this man. He was dressed in an immaculate work shirt and denim pants, and carried a lunchbox. He was about 30, well over 6 feet. His face was stern but beautiful. That was the only word for it, she put in parentheses. I ran up to him. I'm lost and some men are following me, I said in desperation. I took a walk from the bus depot. I'm so scared. "Come," he said. "I'll take you to safety." He was strong and made me feel safe. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't have come along." "I do." His voice was resonant and deep. "I prayed for help just before you came." A smile touched his mouth and eyes. We were nearing the depot. "You are safe now," he said. "Thank you so much," I said fervently. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." He nodded. "Goodbye, Yuffie." Going into the lobby, it hit me. Yuffie? Had he really used my first name? I whirled, burst out into the sidewalk, but he had vanished. Fourth man knew her name. Isn't that something? What's the odds of that? He came to help her. The lunchbox in his hand. What was he going to do? Hit him with, I wonder what was in the lunchbox, the angel's lunchbox. I guess that tells us that even angels will come to call even on their lunch break. Isn't that awesome? So anyway, the next book I want to discuss with you today is a book that I wrote. And some of you have read it. Some of you said you found me out when you were Google searching me online, and you saw that I was also a novelist, and that is the truth. So, anyway, you wanted me to read you some excerpts from my book, and I said that I would. So that will be coming up next. So be sure and hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned, because I'm going to read you some parts to my book, alright? And I'm not advertising it. You don't have to buy it. It's just some of you asked me to do it, and I said that I would show you the picture of me when I was so young. I'll do that now. Can you see that picture of me? Isn't that funny? That's hilarious. I took that picture in my mom and dad's backyard next to her geraniums. It was just my first cell phone and a cell phone portrait. That was in 2008. So that was about 8 years ago. So when I wrote this book. But anyway, The Gates to Love and War. So if you want to pick up a copy, you can get this on Amazon.com. I don't think you can get it at Target or Barnes & Noble or any of those places anymore. But I know that it's still sold on Amazon because I still get, so people ask me if I make money writing books. Not really. I mean, you got to sell a lot of books, and I make to $1.50 a book. I was making $3.99 a book, and I was getting the bigger portion of the profits, but that goes down over the years, and unless it becomes really popular again, I won't make a lot of money on it. But you would enjoy this book. I think they're selling for about $7.99 on Amazon. But I did rewrite the book, and I'm going to republish it. People wanted more background on my heroine and my characters in here, so I gave them a little bit more background. But it's a romance. It's out of Montana. And matter of fact, I'll read you the back real quick. It just says, an emotionally charged romance suspense novel, The Gates to Love and War, brings you a breathtaking story of 3 courageous American soldiers and their heroic service to their country, which in return leaves them each haunted by the ghost of war. Each carries with them top government secrets that cannot fall into the wrong hands. One soldier makes it his objective to get back what the government owes him, no matter the cost. Soon the lives of these 3 war-torn heroes collide while venturing deep into the treacherous Montana wilderness. On a journey to find peace within themselves, hope and true love are discovered as danger throws them intimately together. It will not only test their survival skills, but their growing desires as well. Janie Pendleton. And that's my synopsis on the back. And there's my cover. You can see the American flag, and you can kind of see the scope here. And it's mostly a love story. It's mostly a romance story about horses and the trail that takes you all through. Some of the characters in here are real. A lot of the people, I'm sorry, they're hammering today. Like I said, I got construction going all the way around me. I have to be able to do things, and I don't want to be inside on a day like today. Matter of fact, I should probably be writing on some of my books. I have 13 novels, by the way, and this is the only one that I thought was at the point where I could publish it, and then I ended up rewriting it. So I'm one of those writers. There's like a series of these books. So, and I only published the first of the series, but the second and the third are actually even better. But I was hoping for a publisher to pick up the second and the third book as well. So I'm just going to sit around and wait for that, because it cost a lot to even self-publish. It would probably cost me probably around $1,500 to self-publish one of my books, and I don't want to do ebooks because you make even less than a quarter on the ebooks. So I mean, it's just not worth my time to do the writing. And I don't know. I like the idea of being published and going around and talking to people and giving lectures and teaching people what I know. And people say, how long have you been a prepper? Well, if you read this book back in 2008, you'll see that I even talk about deep earth bunkers even in this book. So, you know, if you want to pick up my book, you know, go for it. The Gates to Love and War. I've never advertised my book. And somebody said, Jane, I read your book. Even my neighbor lady behind me found me out and read my book. And she came by one day and she goes, oh my God, my husband and I both loved it. You know, it was a book for a man and a woman. And it had the romance in it, yes. And people are like, and you're a preacher and you wrote this. And I'm like, I wrote this before I was a preacher. And when I rewrote it, instead of having the curse words in it, I just wrote, he cursed. So I did change that a little bit because, well, I felt like God directed me to. But some of the book, you couldn't change the curse words because that had to do with the war part, and those were actual things that actually happened. So the 2 war stories in here, they're very, very short war stories. They are real, and I covered them up with, how do you say, fiction. So jump out if you want to. Go onto Amazon and get this book. Give it a read. Matter of fact, what I might do is I might give this away. Let's have a contest and I'll give one of these away. Maybe I'll give a couple of them away. So leave a message below and let me know what kind of contest I could have, and I'll give this away. I'll give one of these away. Okay? Or if you don't want to wait, you can go buy one. Like I said, they're not that expensive and they come to you straight from Amazon. So if you have an Amazon order going in, just pick one of these up. If you have an Amazon book order going in, and you might even be able to find one used. They were selling down in Florida for a while, $97. $97 in Florida this book was going for. And I couldn't believe it. It went global. During the Iraq War, this went global. And I think the reason why it was so much money is because people were having it sent overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan to read this book. I was extremely honored. So, but I called them up and told them if they continued to sell the book for that price, I was going to pull the book off all the store shelves because I wasn't going to have the soldiers taken advantage of like that. So what I did is I sent a carton of the books to Old Post in the Iraq War so people could get them for free. And I undercut myself because I wasn't about the money. I was about the story that was in here, and the people knew the stories inside were true, and they loved how I wrapped it around in Montana. It gave them hope. And it gave them a little bit of a mystery, and then I turned it into a book. I mean, I just turned the story into a fiction. But I got what happened in the Iraq War. I got it out on paper, a little bit of the way the soldiers feel and stuff. So, but anyway, pick the book up and support my channel, because I put all the monies here now that I make on this book, I put towards all the food and all the canning and all the canning jars and everything. So, yes, I mean, I've got to sell quite a few books to, you know, to even make it worth my while to, because it was like $600 I had to pay just for the book cover, to have it drawn, to have it designed. So not cheap getting published, and you still have to pay for part of your publishing expenses just like the book cover. So but I got published, and then they sold my book. My book has been sold twice to other publishers, and but the other 2 I'm going to wait to get published because I just feel like they go with this book. This one had gotten published, and I just felt like I was better off getting published. That's my way of thinking about it. And I am thinking about putting this, when I get it rewritten and I'm about right here in the rewrite. So I've still got the other half of the book to go. I just talk more about her Indian background and things like that. So, but anyway, enough rambling. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Maranatha Minutes, and we'll be right back because I'm going to read you some inserts to the book. Hit that subscribe button. We love you. Go with God and have an awesome autumn day. Blessings.